Hi, I'm Scarlett Johnson, and I'm running for school board for Mequon-Thiensville School District. And I'm doing this lecture today because our kids all had off of school, kind of a crummy day out, very cold and icy, and I hope everyone is safe and at home or driving carefully. I'm going to read my school board speech from last night. Interesting night last night. There was a little bit of, I guess, a little anger kind of indirectly thrown at me. A lot of times there were the words, one particular candidate, and you can guess who they meant. And that's okay. It's really doesn't feel great, but it's nothing new. When I think everyone has something in their life where they or you have this terrible dream about it, where you're walking into a room and you look around and you know, like, knives out, claws are out, and you know you're about to enter into the lion's den, but you do it anyway. And because you have to, and that's what I felt like yesterday. It was sort of like kind of a lot of snarls and a lot of anger directed at me from a small core group. They are all members of the coalition, and they support Paul Bazell and Jason, who is his Paul's brother-in-law. I really never have seen him. I don't really know him very well. But yeah, and FYI, I do think it's a little odd to have two family members running on the same ticket. Look, my sister has no interest in politics, so she will not be running with me. But anyway, so back to the story. So kind of, this is a group that literally should get pom-poms and come to the board meeting because they're just cheering, everything's wonderful, cheer. And there is a time for that, for sure. There is a time to applaud and to be grateful and thankful, and there is so much to be thankful for. But you have to honestly look at the state of things and be able to offer some constructive criticism. I think, something to say that, here's where we could do better. And from this group, there is never anything that can be done better. Our board is perfect, and they want to handpick all of the candidates and then put them to you on a platter, and anyone who doesn't like the candidates they picked for you, well, you're anti-public education, and you must, hate our district. There's so many logical fallacies in their arguments, but I think that we have a community that deserves better than these hand-picked candidates, picked by just the right people, there for you, choose them, and that's it. We've decided for you. You just need to rubber stamp. Now, rubber stamping is what our school board tends to do best, but that's not what we want anymore. At least that's not what I want, and I think there's a lot of other taxpayers and stakeholders and parents that feel the same. We would like diversity of thought on our school board. We would like to see just some more interaction. Yesterday, Andrew Hopkins did a great job, a phenomenal job. Our map data was displayed. I mean, not all of it, just certain portions of the map data. The things that were positive, that case was made, and that was wonderful. Good news to hear. However, there were areas that needed to be worked on. There was that data was not at the meeting yesterday. That data was not shown to the public, and that's the problem. We get the cherry-picked stuff that's good, and everything else is sort of like, well, you know, maybe you can open records request that, and if you're lucky, you just might get it. You most likely will not. But we need to know this stuff. Like, parents need to know more, and it would be really helpful. I think not everything is just to criticize. It's to understand what's working and what isn't, and let's do more of what's working and stop doing what isn't working. And my day was spent in between taking care of my kids, talking to a whole lot of voices today. I had a lot of phone calls with educators, former educators, people with a lot of knowledge on many subjects that were discussed at the board meeting yesterday. I took a lot of notes, and I'm gonna put that together later and really start to go through what I learned. It was a lot. It was really, really interesting, and this is going too long. I will talk forever. So I'm just going to start reading my Board of Education speech, and I'll add a little bit to that. So less than 2 weeks ago, I testified in Madison in support of parental rights in public education. After doing so, a Democratic state legislature said about Representative Lee Snodgrass, if parents want to have a say in their child's education, they should homeschool or pay for private school tuition out of their family budget. This was a big to-do. When I was testifying, not soon after, I testified, and then Amber testified, and Alyssa testified. This comment was tweeted out by this Democratic representative, and it was shocking. It actually made national news. It was deleted, but not before it got out, and I think it was very telling. And I also think it's very telling that there's certain things brought up, like, for example, there's often, I get this, you know, oh, you're so partisan, or you're playing politics. And right here we have this statement. And this statement is everything that I have been fighting against, and what so many parents have been fighting against. We feel that we don't have a say. And when we want a seat at the table, we're told, get out of here. If you don't like it, you must hate public education. You aren't allowed to have a different opinion. There can be no diversity of thought. Think like us or leave. That is wrong. First of all, we're taxpayers. These are our tax dollars. We have a right to have a say in what's going on in our school districts that we pay for. We absolutely do. And then we're parents, many of us are parents, and we absolutely have a right. And to say, and also this is a very elitist comment, because what if you can't afford private school? What if you're a single working mom and you can't be and you can't homeschool? This is so elitist. I'm Puerto Rican. I come from a very humble background, and I started off in MPS. We are telling the poorest among us that you don't have a say. You can't homeschool and you can't go to private school. You don't have a say. You do what we tell you to do. That's so wrong. I'm just, this comment horrifies me. And I feel, unfortunately, it's the quiet part that's said out loud. I think that if there's a group and it's aligned, Ozaukee Democrats, grassroots North Shore, whatever, if there's some kind of alignment there, then I would love to see this comment for that group to say, you know what, this is wrong too. This is wrong. This is playing politics. This is absolutely wrong. But I've never heard that yet. So anyways, I'll go back to my speech. Those in this room who are so concerned about partisan politics and education are not concerned about this statement. and it is offensive on so many levels. All parents should always have a say in their child's education. In 2020, expecting our elected board members to welcome our input with fairness and concern, we went to board meetings and poured out our hearts. We literally begged for our children. And this part is so true. I will never forget this series of events that led to our first organized protest to open up the MTSD schools when they were closed. And this is where the sort of the moms group in Mequon began. And when in a Zoom meeting that lasted for over 3 hours, parent after parent just begging, please, hoping that the decision was to open the schools. Everyone sort of like, please open our schools. When that decision was made to close the schools, and subsequently when it was discovered that our board had abdicated their voting rights and had empowered our superintendent to make all pandemic decisions from then on, it just felt like a punch to the gut, and it hurt, and we felt so powerless. In subsequent board meetings, parents, there isn't a single meeting where someone didn't break down crying, where a parent just wasn't begging and pleading for their mental health for their children, that they needed some kind of normalcy in this whole, crazy world that now we had all lived, we were all a part of. And no one listened. It felt like no one cared. Instead, they doubled down on the most controversial and onerous policies. On top of that, in our district, we hired Blacksmith Consulting. We paid $42,000 for very controversial material, and that began sort of a peek behind the curtain where we kind of saw some things, hey, I didn't know that this kind of material was, in our district. That were our kids exposed to this? Our, teachers, at this point, we didn't know much. We really didn't know, and it took a lot of investigating for us to find more, but I'll get off track. MTSD taxpayers deserve respect and accountability from their district. And when an issue arises, their elected school board members should investigate with fairness and seek a remedy. Over the last 18 months, parents made this very clear. Platitudes would no longer satiate our need for respect and inclusion. This is a good thing. For example, I feel that the surge in parental involvement since August 2020 has been instrumental to the implementation of a more aggressive academic recovery plan. And I absolutely believe that 100%. Their academic recovery wasn't even on the table. Pretty much every board meeting we attended, everyone, myself and many parents, it was, you're doing such a great job. Oh no, you're doing such a great job. There was a lot of congratulations while parents were watching and sort of feeling, what am I missing? Another survey? Really? We're really gonna talk about another survey? There's some really big issues that we're trying to talk about here. And that just sort of fell on deaf ears. And so academic recovery was really something spearheaded by Andrew Hopkins, and something that as parents and stakeholders we really wanted to see. And because of the efforts of the recall and just this intense focus on the decline, the numbers, we obviously were in our community trying to tell everyone, hey, this is real, this is happening, our kids' education is declining, the reading is declining, math is declining, we need to address this, and we need to address this now. Our sense of urgency, even though we were not successful with the recall per se, we were successful in a complete change that happened in our district where our efforts made them take notice and then implemented this academic recovery, and it is showing some success. And that is due to our teachers. Yesterday there was some praise heaped upon interventionists, and I think that it's really the day-to-day teachers that deserve a lot of praise for these, the positive news that we heard yesterday. There was positive news. We are starting to get to the pre-pandemic levels in our milestones, but even those levels, they are not where we used to be. We have work to do, but hey, we should say great job, because there is improvements. There is hope for the future. I think that, and I'll get into this more, I think we definitely need to hire more teachers, and we need more boots on the ground. But so again, I am optimistic for the future, but continued success will require more needed change. We cannot have just status quo. We've got to have someone like me, I believe someone like me on the board, who will continually kind of push, let's do more for kids. What can we do better? Where can we improve? Those numbers are good. How can we get them better? We need another person like Andrew Hopkins, who asks questions, who wants to know more. Not just, okay, yes, we'll pass. We need that kind of diversity of thought, that give and take. That will make our board better, that will make our district better. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think that I could bring something to the table. You don't get paid for this. There's no salary for becoming a school board member. It is a ton of hard work, and if it wasn't just my passion for education, and over the last 2 years, everything that I've been involved with and all the people that I've met, I feel I owe it to so many people that have supported me, and to the children of this community, and to be a good example for my children. I need to do this and volunteer and serve. That is the reason why I'm doing this. There's nothing else in it for me other than I want to serve, and I want to do good, and I want to see some needed change so that we are the #1 district in the state, that we are nationally recognized, and that isn't just something on niche, and that we don't need the DPI to lower the basic requirements to exceed expectations so that we can do them. We can do that without, putting a thumb on the scales. We were there once, and we can be there again. I absolutely believe that. I really do. I'm going back to my speech. This is taking long, sorry. Representative Lee Snodgrass said the quiet part out loud. And in one moment, that statement, parents don't have a say in their kids' education, just sit down and shut up. That statement completely validated the 18 months of parental pushback. So if you just happen to talk to someone and say, well, the coalition says this, or I saw this on social media and they're just a bunch of loudmouth, crazy people, that is not true. It's just not true. We are, 2 years ago, I can't imagine that I would be where I am now. I was like many, probably, many that still just, you have your life, you're working, you own a business, you have your kids, you're busy, and all you see is a few comments on social media, and, you don't know what you don't know. And so your image of me is filtered through, social media posts a lot these days. I mean, let's be honest, but who I am as a person who just really, really cares about education, and I really just want to do the right thing. So, and these last 18 months of parents sort of fighting and standing up for kids, and you know, maybe you've seen us holding signs every once in a while that, you know, there was a reason, and our reason, it was validated. When that was said, it really was. I was there in the room where it happened, and I can say confidently that every school board member, every district in Wisconsin, including ours, must understand that there is a new normal. It's just not the new normal that maybe Fauci was kind of talking about. In this new normal, parents are partners with those who educate their children. This is a good thing. This is a great thing. Teachers can count on us, and we can count on them. We're in this together. We are here to help. We need to be. The academic decline over the pandemic is real. We all know it. If you have children, you know it. And the deficit can only be overcome by acknowledging that it's there and working hard towards solutions. Partnership is necessary. We cannot see each other as enemies. We are not in combat. We want to work together. This is our plan. This is what we want to do. People that want the status quo, that they want to go back to the way things were before the pandemic, where parents weren't involved and they could just do what they wanted. Parents didn't show up to school board meetings. Things like this weren't in the news. They want to go back there. Why? Why do they want to go back there? Why not have parents involved? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with moms who care? What's so bad about that? How does that make you anti-public education because you want to be involved in public education? These are the things that don't make sense to me. School board members represent the tax-paying citizens who elected them. Is that controversial? I don't think so. As far as curriculum, if a taxpayer paid for it, they should be able to see it and have a say in it. Again, we write the checks. We do. We pay for it. Why can't we see it? Why is it so hard? Why is it so hard to get very simple information? These are, again, I don't understand that. As far as curriculum, no, I did that. So no more passing the buck on tough issues. This can never happen again. During a pandemic, we cannot have board members say, I'm on Google or something like, we're just gonna give that to the superintendent. That's too controversial. That's too much. We're just gonna pass that along. No. You're elected to do this hard job, and if you feel like it's too much, then you should step down. And that's okay, but that's your job. We run for this office, and when we get it, we have to serve. And we are not immune. As school board members, if I were to be elected, I have to be involved. I have to do what's right. I have to listen to my constituents, and maybe people who voted for me won't agree with something that I want to do, but then I have to try and convince them that this is a good thing, and that's sort of what you have to do when you serve in this kind of office. And if that makes you uncomfortable and you don't want to do that, that's okay. Then you should just step down, and someone who's willing to do that will go into these positions in your place, someone like me. Education is more than abstract notions of equity. Equity and equal opportunity are two different things. In Mequon and Thiemsville, I believe, vast majority of us believe in equal opportunity. We want equal opportunity. We support colorblind policies. We want every child to succeed. But we do not believe in equal outcomes in the sense that we have to equalize them. That gets to be a complicated topic, but overall, equity and should not mean equal outcomes. Equal opportunity, supplying children with what they need, offering up services to help kids who need them with IEPs and 504. I have had children with those, with 504 plans and IEPs. I have one right now. I know what that's like. I've had a child in a gifted and talented program. I understand that there are levels of need for education. There are children who are capable of accelerated learning. And in our district, they are too often unchallenged, and they are underrepresented. Their needs need to be met just as much as a child with special needs, their needs need to be met. And every child in between. This is really hard. In a public school where the mission is to provide this quality education to all students, this is not easy, and it's not meant to be. And we're going to disagree about certain things. We just need to be respectful, and we need to look at data, and we need to use our common sense. And when we do those things, I believe that we can come up with really workable solutions. I think, in my opinion, we have too much focus on equity and not enough on excellence. And merit and competence, those are important things, and they've somehow gotten lost. And I think we need to emphasize those again. And kids feel great when they are successful and they feel confident about their education, and we just want to keep inspiring that in the best ways possible. And I think we need to hear from teachers a lot. We need to hear from a wide variety of teachers, elementary, middle, and find what works and what doesn't work, in where they can say this without any repercussions, without feeling that if they're critical of the administration, they could get in trouble. So I think some open dialogue would be a good idea. So merit and competence should be rewarded. Out of control behavior should have consequences. There's a video that is viral now in the West Bend School District where out of control behavior did not have consequences, and it led to near catastrophic results where a child was bullied to the point where that child was harmed and could have been harmed in a life-threatening way. And the district and the administration never contacted the parent. Now, this was in West Bend, but I hear from parents all over the state quite often. I've attended some conferences where there's parents all over the country. Please do not think that somehow we have some special magic in this district that will keep us immune from everything we hear in neighboring suburban districts, or what's happening in Middleton, or what's happening there. It can't happen here. Don't think that, because these things can happen if we're not careful. If we don't, we need to look around and see what's happening and learn and be sure it does not happen here. And there, in smaller ways, it does happen here. I've been told of, there has been a lot more, there's been a lot more fighting, and in the high school in particular. And I think that teachers feel powerless. They don't feel supported. They don't know what to do, how to handle kids with some behavioral issues, and they're not really guided. This is not as big of a problem in our district, but it's becoming a larger problem. It's a huge problem when most of the bathrooms the doors have to be locked, because there's various issues with vaping, and I believe even with drugs, and So I would like to know more about these things, and I think everyone would like to know more about what's going on and how we can prevent our district from having a very terrible situation occur like has happened in many other districts in Wisconsin and all over the country. It's really important to keep what is so great about our district, to hold on to that. And that's sort of slipping. Over the years, I have heard, before I was involved at this level, even before, as a parent, I know what was going on. I had 2 kids graduate from Homestar, and from what I'm hearing from parents that have children there right now, there's some issues, and I think they need to be addressed, and I won't go beyond that. Also, in the school board meeting yesterday, there was school board member Andrew Hopkins frequently just asked, hey, can we hire more teachers? I think we really need to hire more teachers. This academic recovery plan is really dependent on smaller classroom sizes, and now we've spent $55 million to add a lot of buildings. We have more space, we have more classrooms. Isn't this, that's why we agreed to this referendum. And it was made clear that while we have all of the space and we have all these classrooms, we can't afford to hire the teachers to fill them. So we have, and as many parents know, this problem is so acute that now we have to redraw boundaries between Wilson and Donges Bay. This redrawing of the boundaries is going to be a really big issue. There's going to be children that have to change the school that they've been in for quite some time and go to a different school. Smaller classroom sizes in one school will change to, they're going to have to grow, and I think that there's going to be a lot of and there's a commission and they're working on it, but there was a big miscalculation in our enrollment numbers. There was a projection of a large increase, and that did not materialize. As a matter of fact, there was a 7% decrease in enrollment, and there was an admission by the group that calculated that initially in 2019 that there was just some things that they could not anticipate, and so those numbers are off. As a result, we have classroom space, but apparently we cannot hire new staff. And that is problematic to me. I have trouble, and I said I had trouble understanding why we spent $55 million building classrooms, but didn't allot funds to hire the staff to fill them. And we didn't anticipate hiring more teachers. I don't understand that. And I think as an outsider looking in, that's a perfectly reasonable thing to ask. And what is the point of empty classrooms and nice facilities? Again, I sat through a board meeting, lots of beautiful facilities. There was a request for $900,000 for some upgrades and some new equipment and all of that. And these are great, but I don't know, are these going to get our kids into the college of choice? Is this going to raise our kids' ACT score? Are they going to, be able to take another AP class because of this? Are they going to be able to read at grade level? Are they going to be successful in the STEM fields? I mean, to me, if I'm weighing what's more important, I'm going to weigh my kids' education. And there was some mistakes, some miscalculations. It's okay to point them out. It's necessary. You don't just keep cheerleading. At some point, you have to ask tough questions so that mistakes don't happen again, and so that they can be rectified. And then we got to sort of the mask issue, where I said the new normal means normalcy for all kids. We must acknowledge and weigh other harms and stop playing politics with children. And masks should be optional for all students and to all children. So this is something that I had learned, that the 4K children are the only ones required to wear masks. And if any other children in any other grade are around a 4K children, for example, in the buddy program, if your child is in the buddy program and they're around a 4K child, then that child has to mask because they're around the 4K child. Sending the message that these children are diseased, I don't know, I'm not comfortable with this. And it's not right, it's not based in science. These 4K kids should also be mask optional. And they are the group that needs to see faces, that needs to enunciate, that needs to, the benefit of this kind of communication, so that they can read and they enunciate. And there's a lot of data, and a couple parents spoke about the data and the need for this age level to be able to be mask free, if possible, mask optional. That's all a choice, that's up to you, and your family can make that decision, but that's what I believe. And kids are still wearing masks on the bus, which again, does COVID know? Does COVID know when kids are on the bus and when they're off the bus? These things don't make sense to me. These are the things that just don't make sense, and I don't know why I have to pretend like they do. Why do I have to pretend that, well, it's really safe for a kid to wear a mask on a bus, like they need to, because COVID knows when they're on the bus, and when they get off, it just doesn't make sense to me. And I think that these are policies that probably are going by, that I think that there's enough reasonable people that may not have agreed with me on many things, but do now think, yeah, it's time, we need to end this now. There are other harms, there are bigger harms to our children, and they need to feel normalcy, they need to engage, and we need to not treat children as vectors of diseases, but that they are human beings worthy of love, and we love them and we want to see their face, and we aren't going to treat them like they are just something that could infect us. I think there's going to be a lot of psychological damage that we are going to have to deal with, and I think we should just start dealing with it now, and not make this any worse than it already is. We are adults, and we should stop going along with policies that don't make sense. And a growing number of parents will not sacrifice their children for an ideology coming within the ranks of the education establishment. I believe the majority of regular people agree with a lot of what I'm saying, but there is a political sphere there. We've all heard things like Randy Weingarten has said. That's not how most people feel. Yet that's the policy that we have to live with, this top down. That's what we're told. And that's not, we're local control. We don't have to listen to things that don't make sense. We can do what is right by us. We can do what's right for our community, and we should. The issues at hand are not political, and they are not culture war distractions. People that tell you that have an ulterior motive. The valid concerns of parents are not about left or right. They are about right and wrong. Things that work increase success. Things that don't leave kids feeling detached, isolated, less motivated, and we shouldn't do them. And it's really that simple. Our kids' educational experience should nurture their development into happy, resilient, free-thinking, and educated American citizens. If it doesn't, then parents have the right to get answers, and schools should not be playgrounds for ideological disputes. if they continue to be that, then moms like me will be in the wings, ready to stand up for students. Because not to speak is to speak, and not to act is to act. We need to stand up. You need to let your voice be heard, your voice of moderation. We're sensible. I think most of what I said today, I don't know what is really controversial about it. And I think we should come together and not let people who really just want things to go back to the way they were 2 years ago, where we just weren't involved or engaged and things just happened and we didn't know about it and things went, we don't want to go back that way. We don't. This level of engagement is a good thing. It's different and it is a new normal. And there'll be, growing pains, but this is the way it is now, and I think we should accept it and stop vilifying parents that want to be involved and shaming them and then reducing them to caricatures. It's just not true. I'm not a caricature. I'm a human being. I'm a mother, and I am involved in this school board race because I care. And win or lose, everything that I've done, I think I'm proud. I'm proud of what I've been able to accomplish, and I am so proud of the friends I've made along the way and the community that I've gotten to know better, and I am just grateful, always grateful for all the blessings in my life. And this went on a lot longer than it was supposed to. So this was my school board speech with a ton of extra comment. But there might be things said, and I think that is something that's ultimately good. So I hope everyone has a good evening and drive safe. And hopefully, I don't think the weather's going to be too much better tomorrow. It's going to be kind of gray. I did get my signs, however, the ground is frozen. So you kind of have to use a drill and a hammer to get those signs in. So, if you would like a sign, please let me know, and I will get one to you, and maybe at some point the ground will thaw, and we can get them into the ground. And I've been working really hard on flyers, and I do have a chat with me coffee for Friday at Collectivo 9 to 11, and tomorrow I will be in Madison testifying to the state Senate regarding the parental rights legislation that I support. And so I will be there all day, most likely. It'll be a long day, and I'll put some updates about that, but and that's it. Just watch. You can keep track of things on Facebook. I'm gonna put this video also on YouTube, and and if you're interested in any volunteering for lit drops or something like that, please send me a message and let me know. It's a little early on, but we're just trying to get that organized, get that together, and in your own way, stand up and let your voice be heard. And and here's a good thing. There was a good turnout yesterday at the school board meeting, and I'm glad to see it. Even for those who don't agree with me, I'm glad to see that level of involvement. And I think what would be nice is if we could all just sort of say, yeah, we disagree, but hey, I'll see you at the game, and how's your kid? How are you doing? It doesn't have to be. There doesn't have to be a lot of anger. We're human beings who live in a free and democratic society, and we look at the world differently, and we have different experiences, but so much unites us. There are so many things on which we can agree. Like, for example, smaller classrooms. We can agree on that. We can agree on high academic standards, that we should hire more teachers, that we should pay teachers more money to attract them and have maybe some merit-based incentives, you know, things to do, things that we can do that work to inspire teachers and keep them in our district. And I think that a school board that really makes sure that the administration is supporting its teachers, that's a good idea. I think that, and I think to remove a lot of the ideological content that's kind of permeating education right now. And it's all over the news, I don't have to tell you, but it's real, it's happening, and we need to say, okay, no more. These classrooms, ideology-free zones, we're gonna focus on the basics here. That's what we're gonna do. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this other stuff it's really divisive. A public school classroom is not a place where core values are instilled. That's in the home. That's with faith leaders that a family chooses to bring into their life. And the job of a public school is to educate. We cannot, and I don't think teachers want to wear all these different hats. They want to educate and they want to feel supported. So let's just go back to the basics, I guess. And on Thursday, I am going to have something very interesting, and I won't talk about it too much right now, but there's going to be something very interesting on Thursday. And I think it'll be something good to share. So anyways, have a good night, and thank you for listening for the 2 people who are, I don't know, but more might watch it later, right? Okay, thanks, and please consider voting for me on April 5th. Early voting will begin, I believe, as early as March 22nd. And again, have a good night. Goodbye.